Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to bail out or not to bail out, that is the question. This is the question that is very much will decide which way we will go. Some people say if we bail out, we will destroy the economy, and other people say if we don't bail out, the economy will be destroyed. So either way, it looks like the economy is going to be destroyed. We are going to remind everyone that over the last 4 years, we had told everybody that the economic war would probably be the one that we will lose. We can destroy the world 10 times over, but when it comes to the economy, we will have a problem. And we do have a problem. John McCain froze his campaign for the presidency and rushed to Washington to take care of the problem, as if he was not in Washington during the problem, and as if he could really do something about it now. If he could not do anything about it before, why would he be able to do something about it now? His campaign manager, Rick Davis, by the way, was one of those people who contributed to the fall of the dollar, the fall of the economy. That is his advisor. And are you going to tell me that John McCain did not know that? That John McCain did not get money from these bankers? Now that is hard to believe. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we will be speaking with an economist, someone that has been around for doing economy and forecasting economic conditions for a long time. My guest tonight will be Lyndon LaRouche, ladies and gentlemen. He's an 8-time presidential candidate for the presidency of the United States. The first time in 1976, he ran for the U.S. Labor Party, and then after that 7 times for the Democratic nomination. But it did not happen. He is an expert and he is very controversial. Some people actually asked me to take them off the list because I was hosting Mr. LaRouche tonight. As you know, I will go to the extra mile to get anyone that I feel he will be able to teach us something. And I feel that Mr. LaRouche will be able to teach us a lot tonight. He has an excellent view of economic. He's an economist after all, and he has been there. He knows exactly how it works, a lot more than our own president, and I guarantee you that. We will be putting Mr. LaRouche website. Actually, it is one of them, www.larouchepac.com, and I believe the other one is LaRouche Pub, as in P-U-B, for publication, I believe, .com. And we will also be speaking with him here shortly. But before we go to Mr. LaRouche, I want you to listen to a 4-minute clip taken from a speech that Mr. LaRouche had did in January of this year. Now, Mr. LaRouche had talked about the economic and the economic situations that we are in since 1995. He predicted this way back then. He also talked about it in 2005. He talks about it all the time, but nobody listens to him. Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to listen to him because, believe me, only those that the government hate you need to listen to. Because remember, the government was the one that got us in here. So they don't want someone to tell you that the government was the cause of this. And I will also explore with Mr. LaRouche exactly what was the cause of this. Was it really market forces in action? Or was it something else? Was it a Pearl Harbor, as Warren Buffett has described it? As you know, Pearl Harbor was an attack. Did we have an attack on our economy? And we did not know it. Let's go to the clip, and after the clip, we will be joined with Mr. LaRouche. So let's play the clip.
What the presentation and discussion which is going to occur now will be, for most of you, one of the most important things in your lives, the issues. Because we are at a point not of an ordinary crisis, not of a financial crisis, not of a mere depression, but of a global breakdown crisis centered in the transatlantic community, especially the English-speaking transatlantic community, which will radiate, if it's not stopped, to bring every part of the world into a general breakdown of their respective social systems. This is one of the greatest moments in terms of importance in history since the 14th century in Europe, with this new dark age, and since similar events like the collapse of the Roman Empire or the collapse of the Byzantine Empire. This is the kind of period we're living in. And the danger from this crisis is greater than probably any of the precedents other than the collapse of the Roman Empire itself. This is momentarily a collapse. Each day now, since January 3rd, the crisis has been expanding in magnitude at an accelerating rate. What you think is the extent of the crisis today is the measures I propose are not taken will become much worse by an order of magnitude on the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that, until the whole system grinds into a collapse, probably sometime during this year. And I'm talking about a global collapse, not a collapse just in the transatlantic English-speaking community. But the thing is centered, obviously, in the transatlantic English-speaking community. That's where the source of the infection spreads, from which it spreads. And that's what we have to deal with. We also have to deal with another problem, apart from an economic problem, a problem of idiocy, which permeates the highest ranks of the Senate and other locations and among all so-called leading economists today. There are a few exceptions here and there. But on this question of this crisis, except for a few people in the woodwork that I know about, there is no public expression of any comprehension of what this crisis is about or any comprehension of what the remedies are. Now, let me say on that point specifically that the primary crisis before us immediately is twofold. On the one hand, it's an international monetary financial crisis in which the collapse of the entire world international monetary system could be completed within a time as early as this year, and even sometime earlier in this year, because that's the way human events are. We cannot predict the day in which that collapse would occur, but the collapse is already ongoing. And none of the governments in existence today have any efficient comprehension of adopting measures which would actually deal with this crisis. The crisis is manageable. It's not simply solvable. You cannot simply turn back the clock and get good times back again, where you had them before. But you can bring the thing under control. And the problem I wish to address today, specifically, is the measures of control which the government of the United States and other governments must take now if they're going to save civilization. This is doom time. And often in human history, it was possible up to a certain point to prevent a civilization from disintegrating into chaos. We're in such a situation now. But if we don't take the measures, this civilization will collapse into chaos this year. If we understand these measures and are willing to take them, we can manage the crisis through cooperation among nations which agree on certain principles. That's always been possible. But if we do not do that, we are living in the brink of one of the great dark ages in all human existence, globally.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was back in January of this year. Now, in January of this year, I don't think you have heard anyone talks about the economy the way Lyndon LaRouche did. You did not hear the media talk about the economy in those lines, in the lines of that we do need to put some measures and some controls in so we can save civilization. I mean, Mr. LaRouche had used doomsday, the greatest disaster, financial disaster in human history. We haven't seen anything like this since the Roman Empire collapse. And if we don't do this, then civilization is going to go into chaos. Those are some very difficult words to listen to, ladies and gentlemen. And personally, I don't really know what is it going to be. I wasn't there during the Depression, so I don't know how a depression, how would someone go through a depression, but we've heard some horror stories. Is this like the Depression? Is it more? Is it less? Well, we are honored now to have Lyndon LaRouche with us. He is with us, and we're going to ask him. And also, we're going to ask him all these tough questions. And I would like to invite all of you to call us. The number will be on the screen. Call us and ask Mr. LaRouche whatever questions you need to ask him, because after all, you are the one who's going to have to go through these doomsday and dark ages, because I guarantee you those people who swindled the money and who basically caused this whole collapse, they will be living happily ever after. I don't think they're going to have to worry about where they're going to pay their mortgages or where they're going to feed their children. Mr. LaRouche, welcome to the program, sir.
Well, thank you.
Sir, we just played a couple of minutes of a speech you had given back on January 2008, and you said unless we do something now, we're looking at doomsday ahead. Could you explain to us what is it that we're going through now?
Well, what you're having is a general collapse of the international monetary financial system. This is general. This is not one country. It's every country. Some apparently more than others, but we're all involved in it. The situation is not impossible because we have two problems. First of all, we have a financial monetary system which is hopelessly sick. You cannot work within the framework of this present financial monetary system and come out of this effectively what we might consider alive. On the second side, you have a collapse of the physical economy. This means things like food shortages, the loss of productive power to produce food, the loss of places to work, useful places to work, that sort of thing. So you have a breakdown of the physical economy as opposed to the monetary economy, at the same time that you have a collapse of the monetary system. So the two things are together. The solution, of course, to a thing like this is you have governments join together and declare the monetary system bankrupt. And you put the system through bankruptcy. You hold up payments of a lot of things. You continue to pay and support essential things. But a lot of the monetary values simply are going to disappear. At the same time, then you have to create a new system to replace the monetary system. And you have to do this in such a way that you don't have a discontinuity. That is, you cannot stop and shut down the economy for 6 months and then start it up again. You have to get a transition from the present form of organization of the economy to a new one, and you cannot miss a step in between. So you simply have to put the present system into bankruptcy, put it under government direction, control, to make sure things happen.
So were we talking about socialism here?
No, we're talking about reorganization. We're talking about reorganization and bankruptcy. The system is bankrupt. And when you take a firm and you put it in bankruptcy, you don't shut down the firm unless it's a hopeless situation. But you can't shut down an economy. You're going to kill a lot of people. So therefore, you keep the economy functioning, but you take whole classes of payments. You're just not going to pay them. You're going to freeze the situation for a time being, make things happen that have to happen to keep the economy going, and try to get on a program of rebirth of the economy.
Now you're saying, now I know you are against bailing out all these institutions, but
Yes.
how would you keep the economy going if you don't bail out?
Well, because a lot of for example, all these institutions that the president and others are talking about now are bankrupt. That is, their values are essentially worthless. These firms which have gone bankrupt, the financial firms have gone bankrupt. They no longer have any legitimate claims on society. So you simply say, well, these firms have gone bankrupt. There's no value left in these firms. Therefore, we're not going to pretend that there's value in these firms. So we'll put the thing through bankruptcy reorganization, and when we get through the process of cleaning the mess up, a lot of these things are simply never going to be paid. Bush and company are talking.
Okay, what happened to the normal Joe out there who's trying to raise his children and have a roof over them?
That's the one you take care of. You don't take care of firms on Wall Street, which were essentially gambling houses, which have gone bankrupt. There's no value left in them. But people in these firms are saying, you must bail us out as if we had not gone bankrupt. We say, no, we don't do that. What we'll do is we'll put you in bankruptcy protection so that we'll save what we can save that's worth saving of your organization. But the rest of it, we're going to let it go. It will never be bought out. What we're doing now is we're taking firms that are worthless, that have no value, and saying the government is going to sell our children to pay off amounts which aren't worth anything. We don't owe anybody anything on most of this account. But we have to make sure that we do it justly.
Now you're saying we need to change the monetary system because it had collapsed and it's no good anymore. Do you have in mind like changing the Federal Reserve Bank completely?
Well, the Federal Reserve Bank is not an essential institution of the United States. The Federal Reserve System was created actually in a period of President Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson especially, and went through some evolution since then. But it really is not a constitutional element. That is, it's in a sense, it's a fictitious element which was created by the active government of the United States largely, and probably never should have been created. If you look at our Constitution provides for really a credit system, not a monetary system. In other words, our system is not like European systems. In European systems, you have money systems which operate with banking systems, which are essentially private, tied into government, but essentially private. They control the money, and the money controls the nations. In the U.S. system, no money can be uttered except by approval of an act of Congress and by action of the federal government, supported by an act of Congress. Therefore, what we have as money is credit created by the United States as a government, which is then circulated in part as money. So we have a credit system, not a monetary system. We are not enslaved under our Constitution to monetary systems, money systems. We are responsible to a credit system that is based on our Constitution. We are, in a sense, unique as a nation in that respect. We have the best system the world has ever known in terms of constitutional design, far superior to anything you find in Europe. So often people who don't know these things think of us as being a monetary system, like European systems. We are not.
Now,
we're a credit system.
Let me ask you this. Warren Buffett had described it as a Pearl Harbor, and on this show we have been telling our viewers that probably the economic war will be the one that we will lose and lose miserably. But when you listen to the media and listen to our politicians, you think this was just something but a normal market forces at work. But my question to you is, if it's a Pearl Harbor, it's an attack. And could this attack be from forces outside the country who want it to harm the United States economy and destroy it? Or could it be an attack on the monetary system from forces within who want to put things back where they're supposed to? What do you think?
No, the whole crisis is a result of an international system which places itself largely in London and the Netherlands and so forth, but it includes forces inside the United States who have put us under the control of a foreign monetary system, which is a system which is contrary to our Constitution. This system, an international system, is now totally bankrupt. In other words, this is a firm which claims it owns certain assets. The assets don't exist. They're claiming that they have a right to be paid for these assets, which in large degree do not exist. This is essentially a fraud against the people of the United States, which the current President of the United States and his Secretary of the Treasury are perpetrating against the United States. Only though these are people in the United States, the President is normally part of the United States, the Secretary of Treasury is a position of the United States government, and people associated with this group are trying to commit a fraud on the United States and its people in the interests of these largely foreign interests, which say that we have to pay them. And when we know in point of fact that most of what they claim they have a right to be paid at the expense of our taxpayers is actually worthless. Most of the paper, most of the debts which these people claim that we have to pay as a government are actually worthless claims. Some of it is not worthless claims, but most of it is. Most of it was created by...
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you think this is a deliberate attack on the United States economy?
At present, yes, it is. It's a foreign power, or an international power, which means it's actually a foreign power.
Could this have anything to do with the war that's going on in the Middle East?
Not really. It does, but it doesn't. Saudi Arabia, of course, is part of the nonsense, but that's not essentially the nature of the problem. It's an international force.
So this international force, could it be linked to the political forces that we find ourselves at odds with, like the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians, the Saudi Arabians, the Arabs? I mean, could this be a collective effort from all these people to limit our ability to go on more wars? Iran, Venezuela?
No, that's not danger. Saudi Arabia is a complication. Saudi Arabia is actually an extent, an ally of the British Empire. You can say fairly that what is called fairly the British Empire today is the enemy. But that's not a country, that's an international force. And it's an international force which is the enemy of our country. But it's not, the Saudis are involved with the British. The Saudi kingdom is an ally of the British government against the United States, that's true. But the other countries, no, we're not enemies of the United States.
Okay,
India,
so
China, Russia.
If we don't name countries, you agree with me that this is the works of an international body or individuals who control money, who know how to attack the United States economically?
This is an international financier power. It's like
okay, so it's not, what I'm getting at, Mr. LaRouche, is this is not just a normal market going bad.
No, it is not. No, it is not. It's an empire.
Okay. Now, what is going to happen now? McCain, I mean, it's like, okay, can you tell me why this tsunami that we find ourselves in, can you tell me why nobody told us that there's a tsunami coming, and now when the tsunami is here, we have McCain packs up his bags and rush to Washington, D.C., thinking that he can sandbag this thing, but really you can't sandbag it.
No, it's not. McCain is a man of limited understanding of economic affairs, but he is acting as an honest person in the main in what he's doing. He's largely confused about many of these issues. He has people who inform him who are not so much confused. He probably, among the politicians on the major scene, he probably among the whole crew is relatively the least dishonest. And he's trying to find an honest solution for the problem which he does not fully understand.
But how come no one, I know you forecasted this a long time ago, how come no one told these senators and congressmen, look, there's a tsunami coming, why did they wait until it arrived to try to do something about it?
Well, that's the nature of society. Very few people care for society as a whole. Often they're good people in the sense they don't want to do anything bad. But they're not willing to step up to the plate, so to speak, and face reality. And they will say, no, that will never happen. They will use expressions like, they will never let it happen. Well, it just now happened. And I know a lot of these people in government and so forth, and they honestly are frightened, and they refuse to face reality, even though the reality has been known for years. They just hoped it would never happen.
Okay. Now,
and they sat back and did nothing.
You're saying that what is going on is going to really have an effect, huge effect on inflation and also the complete collapse of the dollar, and you are saying that it's going to destroy the United States the way Germany was destroyed in 1923. That's some strong words. Can you tell us how Germany was? I mean, are we going to pay like $1,000 for a loaf of bread?
We are on the edge if we let the President of the United States, the current President of the United States, and his Secretary of the Treasury and similar people proceed as they intend to proceed. That's exactly what will happen.
So what do we do?
And we change the President of the United States by putting him in a place where he can do no harm, and have the U.S. Congress and related institutions really take charge of the situation and compel them to do what under law, under our Constitution, they should be compelled to do. Our government, if it acts now, could still save us and save the situation. We could reach agreements with foreign countries. As a matter of fact, that discussion is already going on, and I'm in the center of it, that we could get through this safely. If people are not willing to do what must be done, as if when people are sick, they refuse to listen to a doctor, they will probably die. If people refuse to listen to what people like me are saying now, we will probably die.
Okay.
But if we do listen...
Mr. LaRouche, people have not been listening to you, and you know that, for a long time, even though I have read a lot of the things you write about, and it comes to be. Now, you know they're not going to listen to what you are saying. Can you tell our viewers how soon is this thing? Are we looking at a year, 2 years? I mean, how soon is this disaster going to hit the average guy like me?
I can tell you people have been and are listening to me and have been listening to me for years. I'm not unknown. I'm well known. I'm well known internationally. Every leading government of the world knows me. Every leading government of the world today studies what I write and what I say. The question is, where are they going to stand on the issues which I pose? Will they choose, and they're informed, will they choose to take the route of survival or will they not? They don't have to know who I am. They do know who I am. They've been listening to me. They know exactly what I'm saying, but they thought they could go the other way. Now they got to the point they can't go the other way and survive. Are they going to have the sense to come to their senses and do what I've told them to do? Or are they going to choose to die?
Actually, one of the Italian senators, Oscar Petrolini, he's going to introduce a motion in the Italian parliament to do exactly what you suggested to do. Do you know if your opinions and your thoughts have more acceptance internationally than they do locally or domestically?
Look, on the top level, among many institutions in the United States, of course, I'm well known. Leading institutions, including in the Congress, in other parts of the government, I'm well known. And my ideas are well known. They're simply afraid to go with what I say in many cases. Internationally, I'm well known. The government of France, the government of Germany, the government of Italy, the government of Russia, the government of China, the government of India, and so forth and so on. They all know who I am, and they know what I'm saying. It's a question of, is there the will to do what they know or should know they should do. And in general, the only thing that will get people in this state, according to history, the way I know history, is that when they consider the things are bad enough that they have to act on what they know I've been proposing, they may act. And that's the way it's going to work. And we're at a point where governments of the world today know they're either going to have to change suddenly, internationally, going to cooperate internationally, or the whole civilization is going down. Now, this has happened to cultures in the past. It's happening to us now.
Okay. Are you suggesting like going with one monetary system that would fit every country in the world?
Well, what I propose very specifically is you have 4 major countries on this planet: the United States, Russia, China, and India. You have a lot of other countries which are smaller but important. You have some countries which have virtually no influence on the international scene. If we bring the major countries together to recognize that we must act together to create an international monetary form to end this crisis, and if the other countries, apart from the big 4 I mentioned, also cooperate, we will come out of this alive. We'll come out of this well. We'll have some suffering from the damage that has been done, but we'll be like a sick man who's recovering in a hospital or in rehabilitation. We can survive. We can come out of this successfully. Do we have the guts to do it?
Well, that means we have to give up our status in the world.
No, we don't. The United States is absolutely unique as a power in the world. Our system, our constitutional system, as opposed to the idiocy of our president, our constitutional system is the best in the world. And people outside the United States who are intelligent know that. I can tell you that Russia, China, and India, especially Russia, has been seeking to cooperate with us on precisely this question, that China and India will cooperate on the same question. Other nations like Korea, Japan, so forth, will cooperate. Many countries in Europe, which are now actually more or less impotent, would also cooperate. So it is not an impossible situation. The question is, do people have the guts to do, in terms of cooperation, what is needed to be done to get us out of this safely? If the will is there to do it, we will survive.
Okay. Mr. LaRouche, if you stay with me, we're going to go to the phones. We have Bill waiting on line 1, I believe.
Sorry, that line is...
Line 2, Bill. Sorry. I guess Bill gave up because he's been holding for a while. So now, in the short term here, do you think, I mean, it looks like that we will be bailing out all these institutions. You know, they're not going to do what you're suggesting, at least not in the short term. What is going to happen once we put out all that money that we did not have? You know, we're going to create that money from somewhere. Can you tell us where we're going to create that money from?
If we don't do what I say we should do, this country is going to disintegrate very rapidly. They have no choice.
Okay, 2 months, 3 months? What are you talking about?
We're talking right now. If the proposed bailout, you know, what's happened in the past week is the members of the Congress were willing to submit to influences from Washington and to steal the wealth of the people of the United States to bail out some bankrupt firms internationally as well as nationally. If that bailout that is being pushed by the current President of the United States were to go through, the United States would disintegrate in short order.
Now, Mr. LaRouche, I'm reminded now with the situation that existed back before 1910 with the money trust, and the people were convinced that they need to push for the Federal Reserve Bank. That was a creation of the money trust itself that they wanted to get rid of, but everybody was convinced by either the media at that time or by whatever forces that was convincing the people here that they need the Federal Reserve Bank, which turned out to be a disaster for the United States. Now, the media is saying exactly the opposite of what you are saying. They're saying if we do not bail out, we are going to have hell in this country. Are the people being duped into accepting something that is actually, I mean, in a reverse psychology here? Because, you know, we accepted Federal Reserve Bank and we pushed for it as people because we thought in 1913 that that's the thing we need to do. Are the people being duped right now into accepting something that is not to their favor?
No, but of course the Federal Reserve was never a popular idea. The people did not support the Federal Reserve System. You had a couple of presidents, one Teddy Roosevelt, the other Woodrow Wilson. Both were of the Confederate tradition.
But Congress did. They issued in 1913. They issued the Federal Reserve Bank Act.
It was rammed through. The people were not in support of it. There was no political support for it whatsoever among the people. Mm-hmm. This was rammed through. But
are they running through this again, where the people are not supporting it? They're trying to convince the people to support it?
Oh, look at 70 to 80% of the people who have reacted. That is the popular people, ordinary people, the people of the United States, have said, don't bail out. And the President of the United States and the gang around him and a cowardly bunch of people in the Congress are saying, bail out.
And the media, too. Have you been listening to the media? The media 24 hours saying, if we don't bail out, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your car, you're going to lose your children, you're going to lose everything if we don't bail out. That's what the media is doing.
So they're lying. They're lying. The whole bunch of them, I know them, they are lying. There are exceptions. But the point is, the people of the United States, this past weekend, reacted against the bailout and menaced and terrified the members of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party especially. They will not, the people of the United States will not willingly support a bailout. Whereas the Congress and others are terrified into saying, we're going to have to bail out. We're going to have to bail out. If we bail out, the United States is finished. So the question is, will the people, the majority of the people today, do not want a bailout to occur? If the bailout occurs, the United States is finished.
And it looks like it's going to occur.
I'm not so sure about that.
You don't think the Democrats and the Republicans are very much on board with this?
They're scared bunnies. They're no guts. You have in the Republican Party, you have like Shelby from, Senator Shelby and others who are a little more sensible. There are people in the Democratic Party who are quite sensible. But right at the moment, around the Obama phenomenon, they're crazy. But people think Obama is the incoming president, the Democratic Party in particular, and therefore, boo, 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 they're going to go with it. But if this thing goes through, the United States is finished. If the United States supports the bailout, the United States will be committing national suicide.
Wow. And so you're saying what we should do is actually let the capital free market do its things, and if you're not good.
No. The first is the United States government should declare this system, the one that's bankrupt, the thing they're proposing to bail out, over $300 billion. That's actually much more. That they should say, put that into bankruptcy reorganization. In other words, the government declares it bankrupt. All these.
Can you hear me? Okay. Looks like we lost audio with Mr. LaRouche.
Keep the local banks functioning. Get the economy moving in a normal way. But put this stuff into receivership in bankruptcy and sort it out over the coming years.
Okay. Why wouldn't they do that if that's the sensible thing to do? Why wouldn't they do that?
A lot of them are just, I know them personally, I like a lot of them, but they're cowards.
I mean, just a bunch of idiots, a bunch of crazies, they don't know what they're doing. These are our leaders, these are our economists.
No, they're cowards. They don't have the guts to do it.
They don't have the guts to stand up to the international funders?
Exactly.
And who are those in the
There are
international
people-
funding groups? Can you, I mean, is this like, are we talking about like
Well,
the Bank of England here?
Well, not the Bank of England. You have an international Anglo-Dutch liberal Saudi operation which functions as an empire, an international empire. And this empire is the force which is actually chiefly behind this swindle. Europe, if you know the condition in Europe, Europe is almost ungovernable. That is from Spain to the Russian border. Europe has no nation in Europe presently is sovereign. They have no sovereignty. They have no banking system or financial system which is specifically European, which is sovereign. So you have these fast money people, the people who created this swindle, centered around banks and international banking, international financial institutions. The Saudis are a big part of it. The Saudis and the British are at the center of it. And this is the opposition. This is the power you have to displease.
What are they trying to create here?
They are trying to create, well, it's called globalization. Destroy the nation state, eliminate nation states, get people to work for nothing.
Is that why we eliminated Iraq? Is that why we eliminated the state of Iraq?
That was an operation, a sucker play, to get us into a war by aid of which they would destroy us. And you had people in the Bush administration, typified by Cheney, and typified by Tony Blair, then the Prime Minister of England, who were the key people who suckered the United States Congress into getting into a war in Iraq, which we had no need to get into and no justification to get into. So we have been destroyed by the waste we've incurred by fighting a war that shouldn't have been fought in the first place. It has ruined us.
So you're saying if we did not go to war against Iraq, we will not be in the financial position we are in now?
We wouldn't be in as severe a financial situation as we are now. We'd be in a difficult situation, but this has helped to make it impossible.
Okay, so it comes back to, and this is what I wanted to summarize this interview with, that what we are witnessing is exactly a Pearl Harbor, an attack, just like Pearl Harbor was an attack on the United States.
In principle, that's true. It isn't the same thing, but in principle, it has generally the same effect.
Okay. Very good, sir. Just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on the program, and we had learned a lot from you tonight, as usual. Thanks for being with us, sir.
Good to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Lyndon LaRouche, who, I wonder if Mr. LaRouche made it back in 1976 when he first became a candidate, or when he first ran for the president of the United States. Now, he's an economist to start with. That's his field, economy. And by the way, he is right when he says that he is very well known in Washington. He's very well known throughout the world. World leaders know him. Many countries, they invite him to speak to their parliament. Many countries, they invite him to speak to their people and economists, etc., etc. And he has created this movement. I would call it the LaRouche movement. You don't hear of him a lot in the news because I guarantee you they don't want him on mainstream media to tell the millions of people in the United States, the hundreds of millions in the United States, exactly what is going on. Now, he is, to many, to me, I think he is a normal guy who has a lot of information and who can help the economy and help the political system in the United States. But those who know something about Lyndon LaRouche know that the United States government actually tried to destroy him big time, probably even kill him. One time they surrounded his house with troops and what are those, armored vehicles, and even they had some planes, helicopters hovering over his house. And he did go to jail for something that was fabricated, because he stood up. He stood up to the people he's talking about, the people he's referring to. Now, he knows a lot about what is going on, and I wonder if he would have made it when he ran. He ran 8 times, but of course, probably most of you don't even know who Lyndon LaRouche is. A lot of you know Mr. LaRouche probably because of the problem he had with the government, and they charged him with some bogus charges, and actually he ended up being convicted, and he served some time in jail. And even after, while he was in jail, he continued his political activities. Phenomenal. To me, Mr. LaRouche is phenomenal. And like I told you, I had people, when they found out, this is not the first time we host Lyndon LaRouche. This is the second time we have him on the program. I think the last time it was a couple of years ago, who was talking very much about who controls the money, who controls banking, who controls the politicians. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, he is right. He is right. We are in a country, if you go bankrupt in your business, the government is not going to come and bail you. But now, because it is this war between the powers that be, and they are forcing the government to actually put up more money to save their necks because they lost it to the other guys. That's what it boils down to. Forces in action, financial forces in action. It's not government. It's the people who control government. It's the people who control money. And actually, I always said, and now Mr. LaRouche had very much verified what I have been saying for the last 4 years, that yes, it's an attack. And I really believe that it's an attack, because I cannot believe that this whole thing would come just overnight like that. I would not believe that. And I can't believe that the media, all these billions of dollars worth of media that we have around just in this country, and thinking about media in other countries, they were not. Now, they were warning people that, oh, the economy is not good. Well, we're looking at the dollar's not doing too good. But that's all they were saying. They were not saying that doomsday is here until doomsday got here. Now, I don't believe that this was just the market and these forces in the market and these market fundamentals being played overnight. It doesn't work that way. But I really think somebody is attacking, and we probably lost that war. I agree with him that bailing out is not going to help, because bailing out, you hear O'Reilly, you hear Shannon, what's his name, Sean Hannity, you hear Rush Limbaugh, you hear all these people, they are for bailout, bailout, bailout. It's the right thing to do. It is not the right thing to do. When you are in deep debt, you don't take a loan. You try to work it out. You go into your bankruptcy, you try to reorganize. This is what you do as an individual. When you can't afford your $2,000 a month house, you get out. You don't take another loan when you can't afford the first one. You get out, you go live in an apartment, get back on your feet, pay some of these people back, then grow your economy as an individual, and then buy another bigger house. That's how the system is supposed to work in the country, in the United States. We're supposed to be capitalism. That's what it's supposed to work. If you have a problem, you have a problem. Period. You survive or not. Some people do come back, some people don't. But this thing about that you're going to lose your job and they're scaring you, guess what? No job is going to be enough for you or support you. It doesn't matter if you're making $50 an hour when a loaf of bread is $5. Because all this money that they're talking about bailing out these companies. And by the way, bailing out is not going to help the system get unclogged. Because the other side has a lot more to bail out. They don't have a war going on. They haven't had a war in the last 5 years that they are spending trillions of dollars on. They don't have their companies moving out of their home-based companies going to another state, manufacturing products, and shipping it back to us. They don't have that. They don't have trade deficits like we do. You don't go and borrow to fix a situation, because all it's going to do is going to make you poorer. It's going to put more and more stress on you. Inflation is going to be skyrocketing if this bailout takes place. Now this I can understand, because it's very simple. You know, we are borrowing money that we don't have against the money that we have, and guess what? The money that we have is going to be, in value, is going to be that much lower. That's a very simple 4th grade math, and you can figure it out. If you borrow money against the money you have, if you have $100 and you borrow $100, well, guess what? The money you have is not worth $100 anymore, because you have to pay $100. You don't have $200 if you think you have $200. And that's exactly what we're doing. We created this money out of thin air for a long, long time. We went through this last Thursday. If you need to know how we create money in this country, just watch our program from last Thursday. It is archived on our website. And our website is www.currentissues.tv. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen. Give this website to all your friends who are from outside the area. That way they can really know what's going on, because it's only on what we call the alternate media, shows like this, that we don't have any strings attached. Believe me, if I have strings attached to anybody, probably Mr. LaRouche would not be on my show. Because I would have to say no. But you know what? We will bring you the people that's going to say it just like it is, and they don't have strings attached either, except to you, because they care about this country. Well, this is the situation, ladies and gentlemen, that we find ourselves in. And I'm not really sure how much time we have left. We have our floor director actually had surgery, so we wish him very well. And normally he kept us in check with the time. Maybe the guys in the control booth can tell us how much time we have, so we would know which way to go. Of course, you know, we do welcome your phone calls. The number is 232-4434. And if you call from outside, it's area code 337, area code 337-232-4434. And we have 2 minutes left. Okay. Well, now we know what to do with 2 minutes. I didn't know if we had like 15 minutes, or it's like, it was, you know, I knew that we could have probably had Mr. LaRouche on longer, but I did not want to keep him on longer than we really had to, because he is a very busy man, and he has, especially now, this is his time. This is his time. Believe me, a lot of people are tapping Mr. LaRouche. World governments are tapping Mr. LaRouche for his knowledge and his expertise. Like I mentioned earlier, that the Italian Senate is actually considering a motion for the reorganization of the international monetary system, which is the way Mr. LaRouche has set it up. So maybe we do need to listen to those people that the media tell us. I'll tell you why the media would not put him. He's also accused of being anti-Semitic, just like me, except he's not a Semite like me. So you can see this anti-Semitic weapon can also prevent people like Mr. LaRouche from coming to you on CNN and Fox and ABC and CBS and all these media that is trying to scare you. Coming to the studio this evening, I heard O'Reilly. Actually, he had a debate. Now, O'Reilly is not the brightest person on Earth, and his ideas normally it's out of this world. But he was trying to scare people that the bailout needs to take place. Otherwise, everybody's going to lose their job and their children and their homes. And, you know, I doubt it. I think we need to get back to basics. It's going to be hard. It's going to be something that we probably it's going to be something very, very hard. Well, anyhow, good night. We'll see you next Thursday.